It is 9:30 p.m. Central African Time. Coming to you live from Johannesburg. This is The Globe on SABC News. A very good evening to you. Thanks for watching. I'm Simpio Ngwane.
Indeed, thank you for joining us, and a very good evening to you. I'm Lulu Gabu. On to our top stories. As the streets of Johannesburg continue to be tense tonight, we cross to our reporter Chriselda Lewis for some breaking news. Now, we understand that one person has been shot in the CBD. Chriselda, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on The Globe this evening. We understand that a person has been shot in the CBD. You're there currently. What's the latest on the ground?
Well, that's right, Lulu. A few moments ago, we arrived here at the scene after receiving a tip-off that somebody was shot dead here in the Johannesburg CBD. I have to really point out there, Lulu, we are unclear at this stage whether this shooting is related to the ongoing violence that we have seen here in the Johannesburg CBD, as well as other areas around Gauteng, as well as parts of Pretoria as well. We've got very little comment at this stage. The police have just managed to cordon off this area here at the moment, and I can tell you that this evening there's a large presence of the South African Police Service as well as the Metro Police Service here in the Johannesburg CBD. What they've been basically doing is trying to move people away from the streets. They're basically chasing them to their nearby flats as everybody comes out to come and see what happened here. I think they're still waiting for the pathologist to arrive here at the scene at the moment. You can see here it's been cordoned off for about 30 minutes now, and these Johannesburg Metro Police Service officials remain here together with quite a number of journalists as well. The latest that we have at the moment, is that we know that Police Minister Bheki Cele is set to meet with community leaders of the areas affected by the violence in Johannesburg. The latest is that he's briefed President Cyril Ramaphosa and the Gauteng Premier David Makhura on the ongoing violence and looting in Johannesburg and surrounding areas. And what I do know is that he has also agreed to meet with leaders of the affected areas, such as Izinduna from Denver and Cleveland hostels, where many of the looters are believed to come from. Now, that's according to the statement that was released by the South African Police Service just a few moments ago. And that meeting, I understand, is aimed at understanding the plight of residents and why they're resorting to such criminal activities. You might have heard crept in to these violent protests that we have seen throughout several parts since last night into this morning and the afternoon as well. So very little at this stage that we have, Lulu, regarding whether this shooting is related to the ongoing violence and looting that we've seen here in the Johannesburg CBD and other parts, of course. We're still trying to get some comments from the South African Police Service on whether there is a link between it. We're trying to speak to some of the law enforcement agencies that are here on the scene, but they're saying very little at this stage. All that they are doing is that they've cordoned off this area here behind me, as I indicated, and basically they're just chasing away many people who have come to the street here to come and witness what has taken place here. I guess what they're trying to avoid is a situation where you have quite a number of mobs that come together, and then you have a resurgence of the kinds of violence and looting that we have seen over the past couple of hours. And of great concern, I think, at this point is that I do understand, it's unconfirmed also at this stage, Lulu, is that there are other parts in Toyville as well, where I understand looting is taking place at this moment. But these sporadic pockets of violence that are taking place, it's very difficult to get to those various areas, because the moment you go to one area, another area starts flaring up. But a large police presence here, both with the Johannesburg Metro Police Service as well as the South African Police Service. So I think crucially at this stage is this meeting. There's no set time that has been put for this meeting tomorrow, but according to a statement that has been sent out by the South African Police Service National Media Liaison Officer, had basically said that, Minister Cele had welcomed the deployment of more police officers to the affected areas in Johannesburg and other parts of the province. He also believes that the increased police visibility, especially at night, will bring normality back. So I guess that's why we're seeing such a large contingent of law enforcement agencies that have come out into various parts of Johannesburg at this particular time, because the fear was that even though towards the late afternoon, we did see that the violence itself could sort of had toned down a bit. The concern was once it became dark, what was going to happen? I do understand in Jeppystown at this point as well, there are angry mobs that are still in that part of Johannesburg. We're trying to get to as many areas as possible at this stage. But the breaking news that we have for you at this hour is that one person has been shot dead here in the Johannesburg CBD. But I have to say we're unclear at this stage whether this is related to the ongoing violence and looting that has taken place. So all eyes certainly on that meeting that will take place between Minister Begitele as well as the communities of the affected areas. And we also saw as well a lot of condemnation coming from the governing party just late this afternoon, where they condemned the acts of violence and called also for a return to normality. And basically Minister Tele is condemning the violence, he says, in all its manifestations. And he's gone on to assure South Africans that the acts are nothing but criminality, he says, that must be stopped in its tracks, unquote, there. And he says it's on that score that he, of course, has agreed now to meet with, amongst others, Izinduna from the Denver and Cleveland hostels, where, according to this statement, many of the looters are believed to be coming from. So a greater understanding needs to be found about exactly what the challenges are. I mean, this is not the first time. If you just look here towards my right, my colleague Mangoba Nkosi will show you there. This police Nyala has just come into this area where we are at the moment. And I guess this was also just to try and assist, because you would also find, if we look up towards the flats there where we are, many of the people too afraid to come out. Police have chased them back, but peeping through their windows there and just looking down to this scene where we are at the moment. But a sense of fear certainly has crept in here where I'm standing at the moment. But we'll try to move to as many areas as possible there, Lulu, to try and bring you all the latest. But they're still waiting, of course, for the mortuary van to come and, of course, remove the body of this person who has been shot dead. We have no further details at this stage whether this is a South African or a foreign national. We don't know whether this is linked to the ongoing violence at this stage. I think also on our part there, Lulu, we need to be very careful in the sense of how we report on these particular instances, because most of them tend to see a situation where the violence itself continues to flare up when I guess when you see instances such as this where there are people now who have been shot dead here. There's no indication about whether it's related to the ongoing violence, and especially in the age of social media as well. This has already made its way onto social media, and a lot of speculation, of course, on those platforms. But we cannot confirm for you at this stage whether it is linked to the ongoing violence here at the moment. But a large police presence. Can I bring you a bit this way with me? Mangoba Nkosi, our camera person here at the SABC, will come with me towards this direction. We won't get a bit too close to the body itself, Lulu. I think also caution in terms of sensitivity on reporting on matters of this particular nature. But many passersby also just driving past here and wondering exactly what is happening. But just one of these areas here at the moment where I think of great concern is whether this particular incident is linked to the ongoing violence. But I mean, the police are out in their numbers. The Johannesburg Metro Police Service, the South African Police Service, and I think that would have been the expectation, of course, from all the concern that has been shown by both, those in the political sphere as well as within the law enforcement agencies. The police minister, Begitele, will have that all-important meeting tomorrow. So at this stage, that's all the information that we have for you at the moment. We'll try to go through to as many areas as possible. You'll have to bear with us because, I mean, the pockets of sporadic incidents of looting and violence
keep moving from one area to the other. So it's very difficult to try and drive around and bring you as much as possible. But breaking news at this hour, one person has been shot dead in the Johannesburg CBD. It is unclear whether it is related at this stage, Lulu, to the ongoing violence and looting that we have seen. That's all that I have for you at this stage, Lulu.
Chriselda, thank you so much for that update. That is our reporter, Chriselda Lewis, who is in downtown Johannesburg with a breaking story where one person has been shot dead in the Joburg CBD. Now, with more breaking